we're off and running on the Krug Show after Niner football. Niners win, but the Niners didn't win. Raiders win, No, the Raiders didn't win. It was a tie. 24-24, a tie. Welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig It Up Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Go get some brisket. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Krug sent you. And we're also brought to you by Sharp Corners, Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, right along the Monterey Peninsula. Call my friend Anthony Catania down there at 831-521-5264. And we should also tell you that the sponsor of this live stream, post-game live stream, sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. I'm loving Better because I'm winning real money every week, really every day, and loving it. And everyone who signs up with the code Niners, NINERS, and places a contest, or I should say, signs up for a contest, is automatically entered to win a Brock Purdy jersey in your size. How about that? All you got to do is download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners, NINERS, to get the first deposit matched up to $250 and to automatically be entered into a drawing to win a Brock Purdy jersey in your size. So there you go. Thanks to Better for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right. Well, the preseason has come and the preseason has gone. And man, this was a good one. I enjoyed this game tonight. 24-24. Niners led 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. It was 17-14 49ers at halftime. It was 24-21 Niners at the end of 3. And the Raiders get the late field goal and win it 24-24. And the Niners almost had their Cal Bears moment there with Tanner Mordecai and laterals and all kinds of wildness at the end. Brock
absolutely insane.
Yeah, absolutely insane. We got to see a lot in this game. Kev, what stood out to you? Why don't we get it rolling here and just start chopping it up? And of course, tonight we're coming right after the game. Sometimes after, when they're at home, we, go down into the locker room. I will be doing a segment tonight on KMBR's post game. So listen for me over there as well, but that probably is going to be at the tail end of our show tonight. So we figured we'd start right away. What stood out to you in this game tonight? There were a lot of positives, a lot of fun stuff, and a lot of good looking young football players doing their thing, including Isaac Guerendo, Jordan Mason, Cody Schrader, Tanner Mordecai, and others. Who stood out to you?
I mean, there's a lot to get into. There's a lot of different players that played. I mean, this is probably the most impactful game. It's the game right before the cutdown. And this team, I think, is for a long time. I can't remember a team that's had this deep of a roster for the 49ers. There's going to be a lot of good players cut, and that's going to be something to watch for in the next few days. Why don't we start with the first team, though? Because the first team came out. We got to see Brock Purdy play with his weapons. I thought Brock Purdy looked sharp. I thought he looked, that right off the bat, the deep ball to Debo was just great deep ball, great catch by Debo. It makes you, it made the Brandon Aiyuk, is this team good without Brandon Aiyuk? It silenced that crowd for a split second. Obviously later, Debo got targeted on a slant, didn't catch it. It got intercepted. You don't want to see that, but I thought the first team looked sharp. And I mean, Jordan freaking Mason. Am I crazy to say he should be getting a split backfield with CMC? I know CMC's great. I know CMC's all world. I know he's the best player in the fucking NFL. But Jordan Mason has never not gotten 5 yards a carry. 8 carries today, 42 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, the guy just looks great.
He looks great.
He just looks great.
He looks great.
I'll leave it at that. What did you think?
I mean, there's only one CMC. But, a big part of why, in my opinion, the Niners didn't win the Super Bowl last year was that when they got to the end of the year, CMC was was not quite top shelf CMC because he had been used so liberally. I think if you spot Mason some carries this year, I think everybody's going to be better off for it, including CMC come January. But yeah, Jordan Mason has averaged 5.5 yards a carry throughout his career. He went for almost 5.5 yards a carry again tonight. 8 carries, 42 yards, 5.3 a carry, a 12-yard long run. He had a touchdown run. He looks great. He looks absolutely great. So to me, he start right there. He looks great.
And before you move on from Mason, like realistically for the season, is this not something you would want to think about? I really think, what can you do to make CMC better? I know CMC never wants to come off the field, but if you can give CMC the ball, and every single time CMC has the ball, he's 100% feeling great, feeling juiced up in the legs. Jordan Mason is a good back. He could start for other teams in the NFL. I believe it. I've seen it and I believe it. So if you can give this guy reps during the season, I think that only makes CMC better.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And not only that, I'll go further. I think Mason is clearly emerges out of this preseason as RB2. He is moved in front of Mitchell as the running back that we want to see behind McCaffrey. It's as simple as that. Now, there were a lot of good things in this game. How about the Isaac Guerendo 93-yard kickoff return? I think it's safe to say, and I said this all week, I said this game is going to be the Isaac Guerendo show. How many times in the streams did I say that this week? I said they're featuring Guerendo and Taylor in practice. They're going to put Guerendo out there and try to get him to justify his spot on the roster, and he did exactly that. He had 11 carries. Now, he wasn't awesome on his carries. 11 carries, 32 yards, 2.9 a carry. Wasn't great. I would argue that Cody Schrader might have been the better runner tonight. Schrader went for 3.9 a carry. Guerendo only went for 2.9 a carry, and he still doesn't, break tackles like you'd like. And his instincts are not awesome. He caught 2 balls for 3 yards on 2 targets. But it's that explosive, trait that he brings to the table, whether it be on special teams like it was tonight on a kick return, or if it's a pass in the flat or a run. When you have a guy who's 225 pounds who runs in the 4.3s, man, how do you, I just don't think the Niners can try to squeeze Guerendo through waivers. I don't think it's going to work. Too many teams are too familiar with his profile. And now after this 93-yard kick return, he'll be plucked. So if you want him, you got to put him on the active roster based on this one game.
No, I know we were sitting down watching the game right next to each other, but we did not talk about this. But I also came to that same conclusion. Guerendo looks extremely. You've referred to him as the hot rod, right? He has the hot rod body. He is the strong, physical.
He's like a drag racer. He's just this powerful engine in the back that is amazing.
He took a hit and kept running. Where I was like, if that's Schrader, he's falling down. He has the legs, he has the strength, but I agree.
He's fast.
I agree though. He didn't really surprise on any of the handoffs. I think, let me look at the stats right here.
Schrader has more pick and slide. Schrader has more natural instincts, but Schrader runs 4.6.
Yeah. Guerendo, 11 carries, 32 yards. 11 carries, 32 yards, 2.9 yards per carry. What you want Guerendo in is you want him in the Raheem Mostert kind of, you want him in that outside zone, like get around the edge and go run. That's where you want Guerendo. And that's kind of, and you've heard it about the new kickoff. That's the outside run play. So that's where he excels. It's no surprise there. And he excelled on that tonight. And I think you're right. I think he makes the team after that. Obviously, the hamstring was a concern, but did you see him at the end of that run? He looked pretty winded. Like he was running fast, but towards the end of that run, he was slowing down.
Yeah, he was gassed. The Niners fumbled 4 times tonight. They fumbled 4 times. They only lost 1 fumble. Tay Martin lost a fumble. Bad break for Tay. But they also recovered 4 fumbles, most of them on that last play. Trent Taylor, 2 catches for 57 yards. Cam Latu played pretty well. He had 3 catches for 42 yards. The guy that I thought, though, really showed what he's got is Jacob Cowing.
Yep.
3 more catches for 39 yards. He caught all 3 of the balls that were thrown his way. He had a 19-yard catch. He had a touchdown catch. Jacob Cowing is real. I'll tell you what's really exciting about the 49ers is that, they already had this bevy of awesome weapons. And then this offseason, they've added Pline, Guerendo, Jordan Mason in some ways you could say is an addition because he barely used him last year. Cowing, Pearsall. I mean, they've added some serious weaponry to a team that already had serious weaponry.
Well, if Pearsall plays, yeah.
If and when Pearsall plays, he'll eventually get out there. Then defensively, Tatum Bethune, 5 more tackles,
right.
3 of them solo. He was everywhere. Darrell Luter had 5 tackles, 3 solo, 3 passes defensed, and a pick. I thought this was the best game I'd seen thus far from Devondre Campbell. D. Winters made plays. Sammy Womack had 3 PBUs. He looked good. Renardo Green made some plays. The one disappointment to me was that the 49ers, going against, this Raider team with Carter Bradley and Nathan Peterman. Neither of those guys can move at all. And yet the 49ers had 1 sack and it was, and 4 hits on the quarterback the entire night.
Yeah.
That's not good. Where the Raiders, by comparison, had 3 sacks and 7 hits on the QB.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I'll stick with the Raiders quarterbacks for a second. Yeah, the takeaway with the Raiders quarterbacks is you had Nathan Peterman and Carter Bradley going against your number 1 defense, and Nathan Peterman threw 12 for 19, 108 yards, a touchdown, a 96 passer rating. I mean, it's Nathan Peterman. It's like he literally is like the poster child of the bad quarterback. Like he is the bad quarterback that everyone makes jokes about, but he played pretty well. And on that last drive to end the half, he drove down on your defense and scored. So, and Sincere McCormick, 5 yards to carry. Dylan Labe or Loeb, I don't even know how you say that. I mean, who are these guys? 4 yards to carry.
He's the rookie running back from New Hampshire. A lot of people like him.
Yeah. So, I mean, the run defense is still a concern. Until it's not a concern, it's a concern. I don't see how you could just say, oh, that's not a concern. They went from having one of the best run defenses to one of the worst. And it all started in the preseason last year. So all the people that, want to attack anyone that tells you that your team isn't looking good. I mean, the Niners look great, but so far I think the run defense is a legit concern.
And now we're in this mode where the preseason, is come and gone. And for everybody. And now the NFL teams have until Tuesday to pare their rosters from 90 down to 53 in preparation for week 1. And there's already teams that are making cuts. There's already all kinds of speculation about guys who are going to be cut loose. I went through in the 4th quarter and put together a 53-man roster as best I could. I'll share it with you in a second, but a couple interesting thoughts. One, to me at least, the Cincinnati Bengals have already gotten going on their cuts, and they waived 11 players, including Jackson Carman, who, was their offensive lineman they drafted out of Clemson, I believe in day 2 of the draft, like 2 years ago or a year ago. So that was kind of interesting. But just looking at some of the other cuts that of note coming out of Cincinnati's cut list, some interesting ones here. Hakeem Butler from Iowa State, who's kind of a jumbo wide receiver tight end.
Hakeem Butler was considered to be like an insane athletic prospect coming out of Iowa State, right?
Yeah. I may want to take a look at him as a tight end, as a receiving tight end. Then there's the defensive end Andre Carter, I believe played at Army. He got cut. Aaron Casey, the linebacker, who I really liked from Indiana. He was an undrafted free agent. He got cut as well. So those guys just among the cuts that have already come down tonight. Three other names that I thought I saw as really interesting names that they say are going to get cut here in the next day. They say the Indianapolis Colts are going to cut the tight end Will Mallory, who played at the University of Miami. Mallory's a hell of a receiver. I might like that. Will Mallory, that might be an interesting name. They say the Atlanta Falcons are going to cut D'Angelo Malone, who played at Western Kentucky for the Hilltoppers as a defensive end. Pretty good edge rusher. He might be a little undersized for the Niners standards. And then, as I mentioned before, and I saw it again this afternoon, that they say Kansas City's can probably cut Kadarius Toney, and Kadarius Toney's intriguing.
I heard that they were giving him reps at running back.
Yeah, well, that's interesting too.
Yeah. So obviously, they're trying to just figure out how to get the ball in his hands.
Right. So that's, I don't know what's and then of course the latest on Aiyuk is he was there tonight. He was on the sideline. That right there to me is an indication he wants to be a 49er. But there's also, while that's going on, there's still all kinds of rumors out there of the Commanders and 49ers potentially hooking up on a trade package that would send Aiyuk to Washington, and possibly the third-round pick that they got from the Eagles in the Jahan Dotson swap would be part of the package coming from the Commanders to the 49ers for Brandon Aiyuk. Kev, what's your thought on Aiyuk? I mean, the whole thing is just so mind-numbingly annoying at this point. It's like the story that won't go away. We're as annoyed reporting on it as the listeners and the viewers are annoyed as us hearing about it from us. But the reports are the Niners called the Commanders, asked for Terry McLaurin, didn't want Jahan Dotson, said if they weren't going to get a receiver, they wanted a number one pick. Now here we got then at the same time, there's rumors coming out of DC in the last 24 to 48 hours that that Jonathan Allen may be on the verge of asking for a trade out of DC. So, is it as simple as, hey, you know what? Flip flop these guys and throw in some kind of a pick to make it even. I don't know. I would say probably Brandon Aiyuk is worth more than Jonathan Allen. That would be my sense of it, because Ayuk's a little younger, but I don't even know if that, they're both excellent players.
I mean, I almost don't even want to get all the way into this just because it's post game and I feel like people want to hear about post game, but I'm just as tired about it as everyone else. The Washington stuff is interesting. It almost kind of makes sense because when all the teams were circulating, it kind of was one of those things where it was kind of a head scratcher why Washington wasn't involved, especially since he went on Brandon Aiyuk went on that podcast and said, "Oh, Jaden Daniels can elevate my game." And it was just weird not hearing him as a team. So the report that came out saying that Terry McLaurin was who the 49ers wanted makes sense. Now, in terms of what they're getting back at this point, if there's a trade, it seems like the Niners are just making damage control moves at this point. It's like, what can we trade Brandon Aiyuk for that isn't going to blow up in our face? Like, what is it? Like, what's the least bad reaction we can get for trading Brandon Aiyuk? And just because that is the sentiment I'm getting from them, I pray to God that they don't trade him because they need him. You went on a whole rant the other day saying that the 49ers are not a Super Bowl contending team if he's not on the roster. I don't know.
Or if they don't, I mean, to me, you have to have him or you have to have players coming back that somehow replicate his value.
Right.
But if you trade him and all you get is 2025 draft capital, I don't believe you're a Super Bowl contender.
Right. Now, if they I think it's still possible. I mean, they made it to the Super Bowl without him before with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that they can make it to the Super Bowl with him or without him again. But yeah,
without him, wait a second.
They made it 2019.
Oh, you mean because they had Emmanuel Sanders? Before he was on the team. Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying Brandon Aiyuk is not the thing that made the Niners go Super Bowl contenders. It's not like he was the piece that was the last piece that made them. They made it to the Super Bowl recently without him. But Yeah, I mean, maybe if you trade for a defensive player, that plus minus is harder to tell. It's like it's a whole different type of player. But yeah, I mean, after what you saw today from the receivers, does that make you feel that much better? I mean, Cowing looked great. I thought it was interesting that they put Cowing outside wide, thinking a lot of people thought he was a slot only. He's been actually getting a lot of outside work, and he looked pretty good on a slant route. And then you got Deebo Samuel, who didn't look very good on a slant route. So yeah, I feel like they're kind of still figuring it out in terms of their wide receiver room without Brandon Aiyuk, and it's obviously not going to be as strong. And they have a lot of depth, and it's going to be interesting at the cut down. I think Conley gets that spot, but yeah, Brandon Aiyuk, I don't want to trade him, but again, I'm not privy to these conversations. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure where Brandon Aiyuk is headed. It seems kind of like it's Brandon Ayuk's decision if he wants to accept a contract that the 49ers have renegotiated higher and higher and higher and higher and haven't been able to get him to budge. So
what are we hearing about the negative tonight as far as the knee injuries to Yatir Gross-Matos and Leonard Floyd? It's unclear when Gross-Matos went down. Floyd went down late in the first quarter when the defensive tackle Malik Collins fell onto his leg as both players kind of went to the ground. And then he was, Floyd was back on the sideline. He went into the locker room briefly, I guess, but he came back and he was standing on the sideline. But do we have any update on Yatir Gross-Matos or Floyd or the severity? I guess we're not really going to know anything definitively, I guess, until we see the imaging on their knees, huh?
All I heard was that they were moving around and that they were like, it was looking good. Okay, Matt Mayoko 14 minutes ago. Leonard Floyd and Yatir Gross-Matos sustained knee sprains, not ACL. Coach Kyle Shanahan said both are scheduled for MRIs. So both Floyd and Matos relatively almost at the exact same time suffered knee sprains. That's pretty crazy.
Well, not only is it pretty crazy, it's also devastating for the 49ers because they don't have depth at defensive end.
Who's next?
They showed up in camp with exactly 5 NFL caliber defensive ends, and Drake Jackson is out for the year or out for a long time. So he's, so you're down 1. Defensive end 4 is Robert Beal. Defensive end 3 is Gross-Matos. Defensive end 2 is Floyd. Defensive end 1 is Bosa. They don't have a lot of depth there. I mean, I was talking earlier today to Chase Sr. about this. It's like, whether it's Tyree Wilson, who's rumored to be on the block from the Raiders, or Darrell Taylor got traded today from the Seahawks for a late round pick. There's talk that Joseph Osai could be available. There's probably a couple other edge rushers. Somebody said Azeez Ojulari could potentially be available from the New York Giants. There are some guys available. I do think the Niners need to explore that trade market and really look to see if they could trade some 2025 draft capital for that one more defensive end because, first of all, we don't know the status of Gross-Matos and Floyd, but I mean, the season has not even started yet. And that's a huge, huge duo right there. I think Gross-Matos, the Niners are thinking is going to play first and second down opposite Bosa, and then Floyd's going to come in on third down opposite Bosa. And that's a big part of their defensive winning equation. And if they lose these guys or either of them, that's going to be devastating.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. Yatir Gross-Matos missed like 5 games last year, so he wasn't able to stay healthy all of last year. He missed a few games, I think, as a rookie. He's bad. He's not a terribly injured ridden player, but he has had injury problems in the past. And I don't know. It's definitely not a good start. And you're right. There isn't a lot of depth there. Robert Beal the third is the next guy up at this position. You have Drake Jackson out for the year. So, you add Leonard Floyd, you add Yatir Gross-Matos to fix a hole, and they both get knee sprains the same day on the eve of the season. Yeah, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all. So that's
what is it?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say that's definitely not a good thing. That's definitely one of the worst things to take from today was those 2 injuries.
We did do a better lineup. How did we do?
Well, if you give me 1 second, I can pull it up.
All right. We will give you 1 second. There's your 1 second. Pull it up. Pull it up. Did we win? Were we winners? I say like I don't know. I think we might have been winners. We said go. We said go with Guerendo.
Here,
Guerendo had a decent day.
There you go.
What do we got? Did we win? Winner?
Yeah. 1 sec. Here we go. You put me on the spot like that. Come on.
Oh well,
there we
come
go.
on. I thought you had it ready. I thought you were prepared. Boy Scout. So we had
Look at
Guerendo.
that. Look at that. Look at that. Come on, guys. You got to give us credit for that one. That's a pretty good
Okay,
lineup.
so we had Guerendo over 19 and a half rushing yards. What did he finish with? 50?
32.
Cowing over 28 and a half receiving yards. And
39.
he went with 39. Peterman with over 83 and a half passing yards. He had 108. And Sincere McCormick over 24 and a half rushing yards. And it barely got over.
It was like a
26.
Yeah. It was like a 10-yard run by McCormick at the end of the game that saved us.
That was it right there.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good,
not
man.
Bad. Not bad.
$90.
Not bad.
$90.
$90, baby.
You should have listened. Right. You guys should have listened.
This live stream sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money like we just did tonight. I'm loving it. We're having a good time with it. Everyone who signs up with the code Niners and places a contest is automatically entered to win a Brock Purdy jersey in your size. That's right, a jersey that will be purchased for you. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $250 and to enter into the Purdy jersey contest. Good luck.
I know that you're usually the show driver, but can I drive us somewhere for a sec?
Butthead says Larry making his kid a gambling addict. Thank you.
It's too late. I already was.
Oh, look who's in the chat, by the way. This guy. This Nicholas
people in the
Perkins
chat.
guy.
We have a Raiders fan in the chat. And same
Raider fan alert. Raider fan alert. Raider fan alert.
I want to drive us somewhere. Can I drive us somewhere? Can we talk?
Can I do one sounder for the Raider fan that we have? We gotta have. I mean, seriously, I gotta have something. Some Raiders. We have a Raider fan in our midst. There we go. So you took it down already? Oh, wow. Kev just took down the comment already. But there you go. Thank you, Nick Perkins, Raider fan, for being in the chat. What were you going to say, Kev?
Are you going to let me finish this time?
Go ahead. Finish. Please do. Please finish.
Are you going to play that laugh track as soon as I start? I had a feeling that was going to go that way. Okay.
I promise I won't.
All right. How about the corners? How about the corners? I mean, I thought okay. I couldn't even give the point just because I was
What
waiting.
about the corners? What about
I was
the corners?
just waiting for you to play that. I just know you too well. I'm like, he's gonna play it. It's gonna fuck me up. Like,
what about the corners? All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Darrell Luter Jr. and Samuel Womack. I feel like those are the two guys that are. I mean, actually, I got to look at what the numbers are. It depends on how many they take, but it kind of feels to me like it's a Womack or a Luter. I personally, even though they both had their lowlights, they both had their highlights today. Womack's lowlight, by the way, atrocious. He didn't know his guy had the ball and just let him walk in the end zone. That was pretty bad. Anyways, I think Luter is just a better corner. I know that Womack's a little bit more of a slot guy. Luter's a little bit more press man outside. I just think Luter has the body, he has the speed, he has the hips. I think he can bend better. I think Womack's a little stiff. It's not as quick. What do you think about those two?
I mean, I like them both. I mean, I don't want to lose either one of those guys. I mean, I don't like getting rid of good young corners. I was going through my roster breakdown, and this is what I quickly have. Okay, this is my quick breakdown, and I just think it's roster spots are at just a ridiculous premium. And if you don't believe me, just go do this exercise and you'll see for yourself. So I have the Niners with 2 quarterbacks, Purdy and Allen, and then Dobbs and Mordecai get cut and get put through waivers. And if they both make it through waivers, then one of them goes on the practice squad. I think Dobbs doesn't make it through waivers. I think my guess is Purdy and Allen would be your quarterbacks. Dobbs gets picked up on waivers, and Mordecai's on the practice squad as your third. So that's what I have at quarterback. So I've got 2 quarterbacks on the active roster, Mordecai and the practice squad.
We got to talk about Mordecai later, but that's for now.
I have 5 running backs, CMC, Juice, Mason, Mitchell, and Guerendo. Guerendo beating out Schrader with Schrader on the practice squad. I have only 2 tight ends, Kittle and Saubert, with Pline on the practice squad. I have 6 wide receivers, Debo, Aiyuk, JJ, Cowing, Conley, and Taylor, with Pearsall beginning the year on IR. I've got 9 offensive linemen with the 5 starters, Trent, Banks, Brendel, Pooney, McKivitz, and the backups being Jalen Moore, Burford, Kingston, and either Zakel or Nugent. I'm going with Zakel, but whoever loses out there is on the practice squad. So that's 9 offensive linemen. 3 special team specialists, Moody, Wisnowski, and Pepper. So that's 27. Okay. And then I've got, I think, 10 defensive linemen. Bosa, Floyd, Hargrave, Collins, Beal, Givens, Elliott, Gross, Matos, Evan Anderson. That's 9. I'm thinking about picking up a 10th defensive lineman, but right now I've got 9. Got 6 linebackers, Warner, Campbell, Graham, Bethune, Winters, and Curtis Robinson. I'm taking Bethune and Graham over Flanagan Fowles. I got 4 safeties, Odom, Brown, Mustafa, and Hafanga. And if Hafanga's hurt, I'll go with Mahoney or the veteran from Detroit. What's his name? Tracy Walker. Yeah, probably him. And then I got 7 corners: Ward, Lenore, Green, Yadam, Yasin, Womack, and Luter. And that's a lot. That's 7 corners. And so I'm really going short at the D line, short at tight end, short at quarterback, so I can take extra corners. And if you get to that, let's see, that's 27, let's see, 37, 43, 47. Yeah, I mean, even that's still 54. If that's still one more. I'd still have to cut one person off that.
I don't think that they're going to take 2 tight ends. I think they have to take 3.
I know, but it's like, to me, I'm not cutting Womack or Luter to go with Latu or Braden Willis. I'm just not. I'd rather go with 2 tight ends and play Juice or JJ.
How many corners do you have again? How many corners?
I got 7 corners: Ward, Lenore, Green, Yadam, Yasin, Womack, and Luter. I'm only guy that I'm cutting of note corner-wise is Ambry. I got 4 safeties. I got 6 linebackers. I might be able to go with 5. Maybe I cut Bethune and put him on the practice squad. So I could probably go 5 linebackers. I might go. I got 10 D linemen right now, but I only listed 9. So, because I'm looking for some defensive end probably off the street. I do think they need 10 D linemen.
I think you're wrong. I think they're going to have to cut Womack.
I don't want to cut Womack. I know
you don't, but I think that's what's going to happen. I like Luter more than Womack. I mean,
but you want Braden Willis more than Womack?
Well, I don't want 2 tight ends on my team. They run 2 tight. they run 3 tight end sets sometimes. I mean, rarely, never pretty much, but it's possible. I mean, they run 2 tight end sets a couple
They
times a
cut a
game.
corner last year, and they spent the rest of the year signing corners.
When one tight end inevitably gets injured, what, they can't run tight end sets anymore? I mean, they have to have
I hear you.
3.
I mean, you
They're
could
gonna
use
run 3.
Juice. What about Jennings? Using Jennings as a flexed out tight end. What about Guerendo? I mean, if you're going to have Guerendo out on your roster, aren't you going to try to use Guerendo and get him on the field?
If you asked me before, I would have said, maybe Rock Ya-Sin doesn't have it anymore. Maybe he's not good, but he's
had a good preseason, though.
Really, really, really good. He's looked great. He looked great today. So he seems valuable to me. Before, I thought that was just a signing that no one talked about. After preseason, I'm telling myself, this guy can play ball. This guy's good. So I don't want to cut him. And I mean, what has Womack been? You heard Wilkes talk about Womack. The one thing that Wilkes does know is he knows DBs. And he was saying, when you asked him about Womack, he said, yeah, he's just not doing it. He's just not seeing the field. I think Womack might get cut.
There are people out here that agree with you. Steve-O says Womack got cut during the game. Blood Moon says Womack lost.
Did you see that play?
Yeah. I like Womack, though. I like his talent. Power Plant Partner says Womack can't cover a bed with a blanket. Oh, my God. Holland Tracy says Latu is ascending. Did Latu have a good enough final preseason game to save his bacon, or is he cut?
Dude, that's a great question. He had 3 catches for 42 yards. He had that 1 deep ball. Now, what is your biggest concern with Latu, right? Last year, it was the drops.
To me, it's just his overall lack of urgency. He just seems like he's just, too cool for school, and I can't work with guys like that.
Now, I can't speak to that because I have no clue if he acts like that. I'm not close enough to him. But I mean, he looked good today. He made a nice catch. I don't know. I don't know how they value Willis over Latu because they're a little bit different in terms of their play styles. I'd say like Willis is a little bit more of the blocking. Latu's a blocker too, but I don't know. What is your take? What do you think they're going to do there? I'm kind of throwing it back on you.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would say that obviously Kittle's your one. I think Saubert's there too, but I don't like Saubert. I think Saubert's a stiff. I don't think
he's big though. He's strong.
Yeah, he's stiff. He's totally dime a dozen. Latu lacks urgency. Willis can't block at all. So, Tongas has had the best preseason, but he's underpowered, physically weak, can't blow anybody off the line of scrimmage. So I don't know. I mean, I'd go with 2 and put Pine on the practice squad and develop him. I'd go with 2 and go with Guerendo. I mean, you're a team that's carrying a fullback and now kind of a specialty big back who's not really a halfback, not really a fullback, not your starter, not your starting running back, not your backup running back, not your third string running back. You're taking a 4th round pick in Guerendo, who's a big size speed guy. To me, he's your ticket to carrying 2 tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, everyone in the chat's saying Braden Willis can't block. I haven't,
he can't block. I mean, he's gotten destroyed as a blocker.
He was good in college. That's all I know. I mean, I guess he hasn't been as good as of late. I mean, he barely has played. But, I mean, obviously the Niners consider Saubert to be their number 2. I saw videos from practice, and Saubert's lining up to Jalen Moore, who's their starting left tackle right now, and they're working on syncing their run game together. So, obviously, they're giving him reps like he's like some important part of this team now. So obviously Saubert is their number 2. And he is a little stiff, but he's big. He's strong. He definitely looks like an NFL player. But I know I see what you're saying. Like, you love Womack. You can never have enough good corners. When you don't have a good corner, when you're signing someone off the street, when you're getting a Logan Ryan, those guys get burned. Those guys get burned off the street, and you don't want to have to cut a good corner for a tight end when you're picking between two tight ends that you don't really like. And it seems like you just do it because you have to. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I just want as many good football players as possible. And to me, I know that whatever corners the Niners cut are going to get scooped up. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that whatever corners they cut are going to wind up on other teams. So I just would like to see them try to retain as much of their cornerback inventory as they possibly can. Let's hit a couple of these supers. Kless Lamperio says, new member. He's become a new YouTube member. Kless, little clap for Kless. Way to go, Kless. Matthew Waring says, JP looks different almost with the catch of the game.
Yes. First drive. He had that, or I'm guessing that's what he's referring to. I mean, hey, he spent $3,000 on the jugs machine. He looks like a different back.
Money well spent.
Do I have to rant again? I mean, this guy's fucking good, dude. JP Mason is good. And I'm not sure what the situation is with, Bobby Turner. Is he still in the doghouse or whatever? But shit, man, he looks really good. And he looked like an athlete. Did you see he had a toe tap on that play? I mean, I know he dropped the ball, so it seems stupid to be like arguing this point, but he looked like an athletic receiver during that play.
He looks fantastic. Yeah, no question. That his hands are so good this year. Bay Area says, do you think Shanahan knows that there's no OT in the preseason? If he does, then shouldn't he have kicked the field goal to force the Raiders to score a touchdown? Yeah. Yes. Approach that line of questioning in the postgame and watch Shanahan swear at you. Matthew Rowley says, is it me or does Brock Purdy not look like Brock Purdy? I mean, he was 9 of 12. He's running around. He's making plays. I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
I'm really not.
You're
not going to look the same if you don't have the same weapons. You're just not. He has awesome weapons. And they're not scheming. Yeah. He's the ultimate gamer, kind of guy who rises to the occasion when there's money on the table. Well, what's the flip side of that? The flip side of being a gamer who rises to the occasion when there's money on the table is that you play like relative S when there ain't money on the table. And I thought his whole, if there's one thing I would compliment Brock Purdy, and if there's one part of his game that I'm truly amazed by, is that he's got that dial exactly perfect with the risk reward. He doesn't take a bunch of stupid risks with the football, but he stays aggressive and keeps firing it into short windows and small windows and challenges down the field. So he's got that aggressiveness, dial tuned in perfectly. Is he over aggressive and throws tons of picks? No. Is he under aggressive and checks it down like Alex Smith used to repeatedly? No. He's got, to me, he's the perfect blend of attack downfield, be safe with the ball. And if there's one thing I could say to him, I would say to him, if you could freeze that part of your game, that's the part of the game I would love to see you freeze. Just that he's got the perfect blend of go for it and be smart. The no.
Yeah. And to
Matthew, it's perfect. He challenges down the field, but at the same time, he doesn't just throw tons of picks and turn it over constantly.
I mean, to what Matthew's saying, is it just me or does Brock not look like Brock? I think Brock had just one of his staple plays today where he layered the ball in between two defenders to George Kittle over the middle. That's the play that would be replayed every week. It would always be some throw from Brock Purdy where he's throwing it over the linebacker, but he's dropping it in right in front of the safety. And it's just perfectly layered where there's two guys in between of the defender, and it just has to be perfectly thrown. And that's what he does. And he has the anticipatory throws. But again, there's not very much scheming going on. I don't think they're watching a lot of, film on the Raiders defense to figure out what they're going to do. It's kind of just, we're calling plays, see what you can do. So, I mean, the whole offense isn't going to look like the offense. So
Carlos says Ronnie Bell might make the team if Pearsall goes on the IR.
Yeah, I want to play this clip here. Can I play this?
I thought Ronnie Bell really struggled this preseason. I thought he backslid. I think he's cut.
Yeah, I think Ronnie. I think you're right. I mean, I think Ronnie Bell. Yeah, he did kind of backslide. I think he needed to have a really good preseason. Like he needed to come out this preseason and make everyone go, yo, this guy's legit. But he kind of he made some mistakes. He dropped some balls. It's just not anything. He's not anything special. I do want to play this though. This is Kyle Shanahan at the presser talking about Ricky Pearsall's injury. So this might be informative to some people.
He subluxed his shoulder. I don't play doctor either, so that's what it is. You can look it up. I would tell you if I knew the definition of it, but he did it in college. I think his junior year. About 50% of the people coming out of college do that. That really wasn't the problem. He did it in OTAs for the first time with us, and when you do that, it's tender. And then he redid it here a couple weeks ago, and it makes it tender. So you want to give him time to come back from it. No, not at all. It's probably happened to 80% of the guys on our team at some time.
So, for whatever it's worth.
Well, I mean, you know, he's not here. What can we say? The great Dan Coach Emilio joins us. Danny, good to see you. What did you think of the game, Danny?
Yeah, I thought Jordan Mason looked great. I loved his just tenacity. The one play he caught the ball on the flat and he put the move he juked to the right and stayed low. His knee almost touched the ground left. That looked really good to me because that showed me he doesn't just a bulldozer up the middle. He's got lateral movement too, which was great to see. So what I was impressed about that was like maybe, just maybe, CMC could actually get some rest this year. They don't run him into the ground. How about giving Jordan Mason 10 carries a game?
No doubt. I mean, I'd give him 10 to 15.
Yes, Danny, let's go. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, get to the finish line with a fresh Christian McCaffrey, and I think your chances of winning at that point will go up dramatically. You know, one of the themes I think that was, you know, again, very strong tonight is that this is a very good rookie class. The 49ers did a really nice job here. Dominic Pooney has been awesome, really, all summer, and he didn't get beaten tonight. He had some good moments. Jacob Cowing, he looks like he's the starting punt returner. He caught a touchdown. And then Isaac Guerendo had a 93-yard kick return in his preseason debut. Renardo Green, who's looks like he may start opposite Mooney Ward. There's just a lot to like here. I mean, there's a lot of young players in this draft. Tatum Bethune is just
right.
I don't even know what to say. The guy's he's always around the football. I mean, how do you cut Tatum Bethune?
I know, 7th round pick. I mean, it's going to be interesting because don't they have to put Greenlaw on the 53 before they can put him on injured reserve? Don't they have to first put him on the 53?
I think if you put someone on IR before the cut down, they're out for the year. Is
right.
That how that works?
Right. It is. So they have to make him on the 53, then put him on the IR, and he has to stay there for what, 4 games or something like that? Or
yeah. Well, he's not going to be ready to go until December.
Right. But what I'm saying is they got to put him on the roster.
No, I understand.
So it takes up one of those backer spots. But I see some people in the chat saying, take that hat off. F that. Well, you know what? You guys want me to put
the Mariners just
want me to put this one on, or should I just put a fork in these guys? Are
you agitating Giants fans by wearing a Mariner hat?
I wear the winning hat on my show for every game. I've only put this one on 65 times, and I put another hat on 65 times because I told you they're a 500 team. But let's get off them.
Just some behind the scenes. John Dickinson texted me and he said, Tyler Rogers screwed me over from being able to come on the show tonight.
We got Daza in the chat, says only watched a half, but the O-line still looks shaky. Matthew Waring says our starting O-line without Trent gets beat by 2s. What'd you think of the Niner O-line, fellas?
There. How's that, guys? I'll put I'll put
There
the
you
49er
go.
hat.
There
Okay.
you go.
I'll put the Jim Harbaugh hat and the Mr. Brock Purdy. I don't know Purdy's dad's name, but this is the one he wears.
I mean, I think the offensive line, they weren't great. They weren't terrible, but there was definitely some pressures. I thought Colton McKivitz had a few snaps. I mean, I can't evaluate every single one of them in totality, but there was definitely some pressures coming off the side of Colton McKivitz. So that's not good to see. Brandon Parker looked really, really slow. Like there was a pass rush move that wasn't even a pass rush move from the Raiders defensive end where he just ran around Brandon Parker, and Brandon Parker couldn't even move his feet fast enough to touch the guy. So I don't know. It's
so who won a job tonight? I see Guerendo was awesome. Do you think Guerendo won a job?
I think Guerendo won a job. I think Brandon Allen won a job. I thought Brandon Allen just ripped it.
He had zip on the ball.
Oh God, he looked good. He looked really, really good. I thought Brandon Allen ripped it. I mean, I thought he looked really good. I thought the arm strength looked good. I thought the accuracy looked good. I definitely thought he got a spot. I thought Chris Conley wrapped up the wide receiver 6 spot. I thought Guerendo wrapped up the 5th running back spot.
And did Womack lose a job tonight?
Well, I like Womack, so I don't want to lose Womack. I'd like to figure out a way to keep Womack. I just don't think he'll clear waivers. I think he'll go somewhere else and play well somewhere else. And I don't want to see him do that. I think he's got a long career coming. The only negatives tonight were the knee injuries for Gross Matos and Floyd. And I guess we'll find out tomorrow or the next day the severity. But overall, the rookies played well. The Purdy, I thought, looked pretty good. Guerendo showed he's got explosiveness. I even felt like Cody Schrader in the 4th quarter ran strong. I don't know what you guys thought of Cody.
He's a practice squad guy, I think, though. Don't you?
He's not going to make the team. No, he had some of his better looks. Definitely. I think we're kind of bearing the lead here, though, Dad. I think we're bearing the lead, and the lead is Tanner Mordecai absolutely ripped it, and we were going crazy. Me and my brother, because we just know how much you love Tanner Mordecai. I was sitting there, I'm like, dude, Tanner Mordecai is going to throw it up to Mason Plyan and catch the game-winning touchdown, and you're going to lose it. And then he almost did. He almost did. It was crazy.
Tanner Mordecai. How long was that pass that he connected on? Because they only had him down for 2 of 4 for 59 yards. So
one of the passes hit off Trent Williams or Trent Taylor's hands.
Yeah,
and
but I'll say this: I like what I've seen from Mordecai. I mean,
do you think he's gonna stay on the 53, or do you think they're gonna try and slip him through?
See, here's the thing. I was talking to John Lund about this earlier today, and John was bringing up the point that maybe the Niners will go with Dobbs as number 2 because Allen is more likely than Dobbs to slip through waivers, and that they'd like to have all 3. I just think, though, that after watching the total, every day of Brandon Allen in the games, the practices, the totality of his competition with Dobbs, that Shanahan's gonna side with Allen as his number 2, and then I think they're gonna cut Mordecai and Dobbs and put them both through waivers, and then I believe Dobbs is gonna get picked up off waivers. So I think it's gonna be Purdy and Allen on the active roster, and I think it's gonna be Mordecai as the 3rd string guy on the practice squad. And I think there's going to be a lot of Niner fans in the next 24 hours going, hey, we blew it. We lost Dobbs. But I think that's just the way it's going to go. I
think that would be kind of suicide to put them both out there, because if they both get
you want to keep 3, you want to keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. That's the only thing with this team.
What are you going to do if you lose both?
Well, if you have this many corners, and you're going to lose a good corner. If you go with 3 quarterbacks, you're going to lose a good corner if you go with 3 tight ends. So last year they went with an extra backup offensive lineman and cut Deshaun Jameson and never played Matt Pryor the entire year and signed like 4 or 5 different corners off the street as the season progressed and played Logan Ryan in the playoffs. And they could have had Deshaun Jameson, who had a really nice year for the Carolina Panthers. So I don't want to see that done again. I'm preserving my corner depth, and I'll go short in a couple other spots, at least initially. That's my view of the whole thing.
Yeah, I think you can get some of their linemen through waivers pretty easily.
What's going to be interesting to see is who is available. I'm reading an article today that the Chargers are disappointed in Quentin Johnson, who they just drafted in the first round, the giant jumbo receiver. They may cut him. There's a lot of talk the Raiders may cut Tyree Wilson. I think that, today you saw the Seahawks trade Darrell Taylor. I think you'll see a number of moves, and I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers made an aggressive move to add a defensive lineman.
Could you be less welcoming? Could you bring me up on a screen and ignore me for 3 or 4 more minutes while you're talking about minutia that is probably related to your man crush on Tanner Mordecai for some reason? Hi guys, I'm up late to come and talk sports with you. How you doing?
Welcome to the show. Welcome. I added you
to the room. Larry didn't know.
Yeah. How are you, Kev? Dan, it's so good to see you. It's been a long time, brother. Every single time the Giants do nothing, I think of you.
Well, thanks. I officially put the fork in them tonight.
Oh, there you go.
That fork is massive. Is that a huge
yeah?
fork?
I need a bigger one. I used to have a bigger one, and
the size of your head.
Yeah, it's hey, it's.
I wouldn't call that a fork. It's
a serving fork. It's a serving fork.
It's a big fork.
It's a serving fork.
You serve the meatloaf with. That's a big fork.
Exactly. I grabbed the biggest one. I told my wife, "Where's the big fork? I'm putting it through the Giants tonight."
It's a dramatic.
The opposite of the fork that you would eat oyster Rockefeller with, which is very small.
By the way, this whole everyone thinks I'm so high. I did not get high between the end of my show and the start of this show. I'm not high at all. I'm a little tired. I've been up since 5:30 in the morning. Thanks to
You're low. You're low.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I'm a little low on fuel. Guys, that was. Here's the thing. A very funny ending, right? You had the band is on the field basically to end that game.
The band is on the field.
The
Bears have won.
That was an exciting, stupid finish to a game that, thank God, did not have to go to overtime. We don't want Kyle in overtime in Allegiant Stadium, obviously. But I'm going to tell you, that was a good workout. That was a good lap around the track for the 49ers ones. That first quarter was probably the most valuable quarter of preseason football that this team has played all year long. I thought Purdy got good work. It was good to see Debo Kittle get out there. And Isaac Guerendo, I mean, Larry, I'm sure you've already talked about this. I mean, he is the star of the evening, is he not?
I'll be back in a minute. Hold on, I'll be back.
What? Hold on. What is Larry talking on the cell phone now? Is that what he's doing?
I think he needs to hit the stop cam button.
Oh, okay. All right. So Larry's got to go, but look, yeah, this is welcome everyone to Larry Krueger show.
Larry Krueger is not here.
Larry Krueger unavailable at the current time. We do have a direct heir to the throne with us, so I feel comfortable to go on. But didn't you guys think that it was Isaac Guerendo's night? And I don't know if anyone really played themselves on or off the roster tonight. He was probably on to begin with. He's
certainly solidified it
now.
Yeah, absolutely. Solidified his spot.
Yeah, I thought he looked good. He looks fast, but I don't know. He wasn't as explosive as a running back as like Jordan Mason. I think he looked really good on that kickoff. I think his role right now, at least, is that kickoff role, and he's going to do that really well.
Yeah, I think he is kick return. I think that Jacob Cowing pretty much played himself into the special teams mix on a full-time basis, which means Trent Taylor's ability to make this team probably just got a little harder because Cowing is staying. I think Cowing's he's getting patterns this year. He's going to play offense, but I also think he is your special teams punt returner as well. And look, when it comes to special teams, the 49ers, of course, they give up a special teams punt return tonight. That is always a concern. I don't know if Kyle dozes off in special teams meetings or doesn't pay any attention. It doesn't seem to be a priority to fix it week in, week out. But I thought it was good work for the Niners tonight. It was a good night of preseason, get us the hell out of here without a major injury football in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I said it last week. I believe Cowing is going to have some big plays for the Niners. He found the end zone 13 times last year at the U of A, and he found it again tonight. He's a guy that knows how to get open, and he just makes big plays. So I think some point in the season, Cowing may win you a game. He's that impressive of a player. Certain guys have a knack for the end zone. They just do. And this guy has it. He's a guy that is going to play in this league if he stays healthy for many years. He kind of reminds me a little bit of the Seattle receiver. And all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank. Not the
Smith and Jigba?
Lockett? Lockett. He reminds me a little bit of Lockett.
He's like a fire plug type player. He really is. He's stocky. He is thick. He looks like he's built to take a beating. And you're going to have to. I mean, that's the concern about Ricky Pearsall right now. Like, I think it's totally unfair to say that Ricky Pearsall is some bust or some failure. We don't know what he is yet. It's a shame he hasn't gotten on the field.
But whatever he is not ideal right now.
It would be harder to find a less impressive start to a career than Ricky Pearsall's. Right. But just because the beginning has not gone well doesn't mean that there isn't something there. Hopefully there is. The rest of this draft class actually looks and feels like it's coming together. Bernardo Green is 100% playing snaps this year for the 49ers in high leverage situations. Dominic Pooney, all signs are him pointing to starting week 1 against the Jets. And
I think they named him the starter already, didn't they?
Yeah. Lynch.
Yeah. Your 3 4th rounders, Mustafa, Guerendo, and Cowing, will all be contributors. Mustafa is probably a starting safety. And Jarrett Kingston and Tatum Bethune are 2 of the feel-good stories so far the preseason. So let's see what their roles are going to be. I wouldn't be surprised to see both those guys on the roster, certainly practice squad. So
I think you can make the case that Tatum Bethune has been the most productive defensive player the entire preseason. This guy's led the team in tackles, I think, every single game.
Yeah. Did he lead the game tonight?
I think he tied for first with 5 tackles. It was but like the past 2 games, it was like 12 tackles, 10 tackles. Yeah. I mean, he's a productive player. He's a productive player in college. He was a 6-year player. You know, he's making plays. If you're productive in college and you're productive in the NFL, you're productive, man. I don't know what to say. He's not fast. He's not super speedy, but he makes tackles, and that's all you can really ask for at his position right now.
I mean, that's, the tape doesn't lie, right? I mean, that's what it all comes down to.
Now, if we were going to
forget about your measurables, forget about your combine, forget about what might have happened at practice. When the game was being played, you were around the football every single time I looked up. That's got to be good for business for him. So yeah,
if we're looking at negatives, what are your guys' negatives from today? I think just the negative from the preseason, in my opinion, has been the run defense. It just seems like every back that they face has gone for 4 to 5 yards a carry. I mean, Sincere McCormick today had 5 yards a carry. The interior defensive line, I don't think, is super, super strong. What's your guys' lowlights from preseason?
I think the defensive line just looked like like a sieve, just people running right through them. I mean, they did not look good. Of course, we didn't see much of the starters on the defensive line. So, but I think they're going to have to shore that up, and that's going to be the area of concern. You can't have your linebackers and your DBs leading the team, and especially your DBs leading in tackles. You gotta have, linebackers obviously do lead the team in tackles because they're run stuffers, but you can't have your DBs making that many tackles.
I don't think we've seen it yet. So I'm not worried about this defensive line yet until all these pieces are playing together out on the field together. Then I'll worry about the results. But yeah, it hasn't been great up the middle, and it wasn't great up the middle in the regular season last year. Hopefully that changes. We'll see. To me, special teams, kick and punt return coverage, it's been pathetic for too many years now. Like this is not a one-off complaint. This is since Kyle was hired level of problem, it feels like, for the 49ers. Kick return and punt return coverage. That was a low light tonight. Outside of that, again, the fact that it looked like in this game, like Leonard Floyd might have really hurt himself. Yatir Gross-Matos went down, and neither of those guys are being reported as any sort of serious injury. That's good.
Mayoko's reporting knee sprains.
Oh, a sprained knee?
Not ACL. Coach Kyle Shanahan said both are scheduled for MRIs. So hopefully
had not seen that one. I hope it's. I hope he's ready to go week 1. I mean, is there enough time to 17 days get you over a knee sprain when the swelling goes down a little bit? I don't know. I
guess it depends on the severity, but
yeah. Look, they're already thin at the end, and that would be bad news. That would be a bad development. To me, the single biggest, incomplete of this preseason is the one that we all know about and have been talking about to infinity. Trent Williams needs to be out there week 1 against the New York Jets. All will be forgiven if he is. If he's not, shame on this goddamn team for not getting that done. And the Brandon Aiyuk situation, I'm basically living in that same camp too. You had a lot of time to do something with him. Time got twiddled away. Nothing happened. And now it's at you've painted yourself into you need this guy because you don't have time to onboard anybody else to pick up and give you what he gives you. So it's got to be if Brandon Aiyuk isn't on the field in week 1, shame on this goddamn team and everyone who led to that decision manifesting itself in reality. It cannot happen. It can't happen. Like, I thought you were serious people. If Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams are not out there week 1, how serious the Niners are about winning this year's Super Bowl is 1,000,000% up for debate. And I'm not trying to be some dramatic, panting content creator looking for attention. And shame on them if they don't get it right.
I'll add to your drama. Can we honestly not say that the damage is already done? I mean, last season, if it wasn't for last season, I don't think 49ers fans would have been conditioned enough to realize how, even though everyone told you that Nick Bosa is the guy that can stay in shape no matter whether he's playing football or whether he's not playing on football. And then when the season started, he wasn't getting sacks early. It took him a while to get back into it. Are we sure that Brandon Aiyuk's just going to be able to walk on the field and be Brandon Aiyuk? I think there's a ramp up period. And I think you can make the same case for Trent Williams. Even though as great as he is, I think that there's a ramp up period for him too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what that is. Is it a week? Is it 10 days? Both guys should be on the practice field on Monday. And if they're not on Monday, guess who just wasted Monday? Like, guess who's officially running out of time to get this right? It's the San Francisco 49ers. So
hey, did you change the lighting in the studio? It looks very, I like the lighting today.
Is that a life-size Ike?
Thank you. That is a life-size Ike cardboard cutout. Yes, it is. And what happens
the
is
lighting seems a little warmer, doesn't it, Kevin?
You're not zoomed in on me. Normally, Larry, you and I are in like double zoomed in boxes, and so we got shinier foreheads, or I don't know. Thank you. I feel beautiful.
It looks a little warmer. Where Kev looks kind of blue. Kev's got that blue looking face.
I can't. My lighting is horrendous.
He's got jaundice. He does. He looks like he's got a little jaundice, like he's got an iron deficiency going on.
Well, he was born with a little jaundice. He was born with a little jaundice. So we did wrap him in a blue blanket.
Oh, good.
A neon blue blanket for the first.
Glad everyone knows that. That's good information.
Hey, by the way, let's get to the real important stuff.
He was a very tan looking baby when he came out.
How was the first high school football game?
Well, I don't know. Kev was there as well. We saw our youngest son, my youngest son, Kev's youngest brother, Christopher, play his first high school game. And Kev, how would you describe it? I mean, Christopher's a wide receiver and a corner. He's going to get more run on D than O, it looks like. But his team's stacked, and they kick butt tonight.
Yeah,
is that Northridge?
Northgate.
I mean, Northgate. I mean, is Les Garavana still there?
He's the coach of the team. He's the coach of the freshman team.
He's the team. He's the coach of the freshman team.
Awesome. I know Les super well.
Yeah. Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
He was my defensive coordinator at high school. Yeah.
Call him up and get my kid to start. Damn it! Oh no,
I'll talk to Les. Yeah, no, Les is played it with my brother at Clayton Valley back in the 70s, and Ron went on to play at Cal, of course.
Watch this. Fast forward a week. My son walks through the door. Coach Les cut me. He found out I knew Dan Coach Emilio.
There you go.
I'm no longer on the team anymore because I knew Dan Coach Emilio.
Damon and I have something in common in the background. I see Damon's bobblehead.
We both got the Willie Mays bobble. Very
Look at
nice.
that. There it is.
Can you make it bobble?
I like the baseball hats according to the actual standings.
Yeah, I got to move San Diego and Arizona around. I got to flip that one.
What's up in the AL West? Did the AL West lose a team?
Yeah, I wear the winning hats team each night, Larry.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
There we go. But since this is a football show,
Larry, we held the audience while you were calling into. What would you just do a radio hit?
I did a radio hit with the KMBR post-game show.
We held it down pretty well too. I think we were doing better.
You grew the audience. That's really,
Yeah, the audience thinks.
Wait a second.
You took a
I've got this one from Ramir. 84. Larry doesn't know what he's talking about. There you go.
Well, you haven't been talking about anything for the last 20
I haven't
minutes.
been talking about anything. So there you go. I really don't know what I'm not talking about.
It's been phenomenal content over the last 20.
What are you guys expecting here the next couple of days? Obviously, the cut down. We're already starting to see cuts around the league. Do you think that? I mean, I missed some of the dialogue when I was out of the room, but do you think the Aiyuk and the Trent thing gets done? Do you see a dramatic move from the 49ers at the cut down to fill one of their holes? I mean, they look pretty thin at tight end. They look pretty thin at defensive end right now, especially if Floyd or Gross Matos' injuries are in any way significant. I might want to see them, be aggressive here and see if they could make a trade for a defensive lineman to add one more guy to that mix. They just, to me, I like some of the young O linemen and I see the depth improving, but on the defensive line, it seems a little thinner. I'm a little concerned about the D-line depth, to be honest. What do you guys think after watching the preseason?
I think your concern is legit, especially if, this Floyd knee is more than a week away. But we haven't also seen it yet either. We have not really seen it as it's supposed to be seen. Nick Bosa hasn't played a snap yet. So how can I really, tell you what that defensive line looks like without him? It's like, how does the Warriors backcourt look without Steph Curry? Well, we're not really looking at the Warriors backcourt. So Bosa gets out there and maybe is enough of an attention hound where he changes the way other teams are blocking along that front, and that front gets better just because of Nick Bosa being out there. That's what everyone's hoping for. That's certainly the plan. I thought tonight, Larry, while you were out, what we were talking about is it was just, you said it was Guerendo week. Guerendo week paid off for Isaac Guerendo. He's on this team. His impressive kick return tonight is a butterfly effect that I think has him handling kick returns all season long. I think he is the third, fourth running back option on this team. And I think the butterfly effect of him making the team is there's going to be no Breida. There's going to be no Trent Taylor. I think Bell, Latu, and Danny Gray are now all off this roster because Jacob Cowing is definitely on this roster. I thought that Dobbs might have played himself into quarterback 2 tonight. Like, I think they got a pretty good situation at QB2. No matter which way they go with it, I think I understand why they're choosing that guy. I see merits and demerits in both guys.
I agree.
I don't ever expect much from QB2. I think either guy would be serviceable for about 6 weeks. And then after that, you're starting to play with fire. But Dobbs keeps on showing up on game day. What he doesn't take off the practice field, he does take it to game day. And I'll give him that. He maybe the nicest preseason pass the 49ers saw any of their quarterbacks throw was that tight window throw to Cowing in the back of the Raiders end zone. I thought the Dobbs laced one out there to him. That was a beautiful toss.
It was. I love the way that Brandon Allen though ripped it, as far as he just let it fly down the field, and I love the tempo that he played with, not just in this game, really throughout practice and throughout the summer. My sense of it is that Shanahan is going to go with. I mean, it was funny because John Lund brought up a point. Who's more likely to get through waivers, Allen or Dobbs? And I would say Allen's more likely to get through waivers, but I also think that Allen is the guy that Shanahan, who's the decision maker, is going to give the edge to at number 2. So then it's a matter of, okay, do they go with Dobbs as the backup to Allen as the number 3, or do they waive both Allen or both Dobbs and Mordecai and just kind of see who gets through the waiver period? I don't know how they're going to play their hand there. But they're really loaded across the roster in some other spot. They need every single possible roster spot. I do think it's a positive, though, that Brandon Aiyuk, by the way, was here or was there in Vegas. And I just gotta believe, and maybe this is just a Niner fan wishful thinking. Maybe it's just me wishful thinking, because in my mind, I don't believe they can win the Super Bowl without him. And so I'm trying to come up with scenarios that he stays. But it's like, would you really, if you really were on the verge of forcing a trade out of town, would you really be wearing Niner gear, standing on the sidelines of a Niner Raider meaningless preseason game with all your buddies, all your teammates, all the guys you just went to the Super Bowl with? If you were gonna, get out of there and skip town and, force your way out. I don't know, that it just seems so like it doesn't fit. Like those things, like if you're going to do all this, you're probably invested to stay.
Well, let's talk about, Larry, let's talk about what you and I were talking about this morning on Wake Up. You suggested, and I didn't argue with you. We argued about other things this morning, but not this. You suggested that it had become personal between Aiyuk and Shanahan. Somehow somebody just said or did the wrong thing that has got both these guys under their breath going, fuck that guy, I'm done with that guy. Just get me out of here.
I mean, Lynch has denied it already, right, but I still believe it.
Of course they publicly deny it.
Yeah.
If it were true, I don't know if Brandon Aiyuk is on that field tonight. So I'm hoping that his presence suggests it's too personal to get put back together theory. I hope you're wrong about that. I hope we're wrong about that. And it's not a level of personal. And the agent did step in here and just say, look, Brandon, it's time to officially start good soldiering your way through this and back into the team's favor. So you are going to be there, and it's not going to be there to create an illusion of good soldier. So now you can get traded. You should be there because this is the best team for you. The most amount of money to be made in your NFL career, I really believe it flows through the 49ers. And I hope he feels the same way, because I really believe that. I think he's going to be a highly successful, highly paid, high profile on one of the most high profile football teams on planet football by remaining a 49er. If he did force his way to the Pittsburgh Steelers, he'd be huge with the Yinzers. He'd be big, but the Niners are a global brand. The Steelers, look, they travel great. I'm not here to tell you that the Steelers are anything other than NFL royalty. They are. But they don't have that global appeal that the 49ers do. They're not sexy. And
they're not good right now. I mean,
and they're not going to be in
they don't have a quarterback. They're not a good team.
They're seriously considering Justin Fields right now. So
and Russell's done, and Fields stinks, and they're and I don't want to say the head coach there is overrated, because I really believe in Mike Tomlin, but Mike Tomlin, the facts are the facts, man, and he hasn't won a playoff game in 5. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. It's 2024, so I mean it's been a while. So I mean it's like it's in the what have you done for me lately category, they haven't done a lot there. So I guess the question is, if the Niners, if Debo's right and Aiyuk's going to be a Niner, and if the reports are right and Trent's going to be a Niner, is there a deadline? I mean, Lynch would say, well, it already passed. But I mean, is there a point that, like if they sign today, can they play against the Jets? How much practice time do you think these guys need? What's the cutoff before you can just say, you know what? No, you can't expect them against week one for week one against the Jets. What's the deadline? Is there a deadline? I mean,
Like
there's gotta
fucking
be
Monday, bro. Like Monday. I mean, the season starts in 2 weeks. You would. I mean, that's at that point, it's almost a liability to try to get him ready that fast. And I was talking about this right when you were joining in. If it wasn't for last year and Nick Bosa, I think a lot of people wouldn't be as worried about this. But we saw Nick Bosa last year after holding out all summer, even though everyone told you, oh, it's Nick Bosa. He trains better than anyone else. He doesn't need these practices to be trained. He started off pretty slow. So if Nick Bosa is going to start off slow, Brandon Aiyuk's going to start off slow. And I mean, I think Trent Williams will start off slow. So
Trent Williams
they needed to sign
slow.
yesterday. They needed to sign yesterday.
Right. Williams might start off slow, but his slow start is probably better than the effort you can get out of Jalen Moore against the Jets defensive line. And if he signs as the opening coin toss is hitting the grass, I'm starting him. Trent Williams to me is fucking playing week one. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Trent, you get here on Wednesday before it starts. You get here 15 minutes before the game starts. You sign as the game is starting. You sign at halftime. You're playing the third quarter. Protecting Brock Purdy at all costs has to be a mega priority, because without Brock Purdy, you are back to CJ Beathard might as well still be doing this shit and nothing works. So protecting Purdy is job one. I think you can get past the Jets without Brandon Aiyuk. I would not try to get past the Jets without Trent Williams and that defensive line. And that to me, look, both those guys better be there week one against the New York Jets.
I just
and
don't
I don't
understand
care where they're.
what
I don't
the,
care when they report.
Delay is. What the heck is the delay at this point? I mean, really? I mean, you've taken this long. I mean,
well, and that's why I've suggested that it might be personal, because you're right. It makes no sense that it would take this long. It's like somebody saying they went for a half a block bike ride and it took them 3.5 hours. Why did it take you 3.5 hours? You only went half a block. It makes no sense. Why is it taking the 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk this long to move $1 million?
Yeah, it's got to be over that fourth year and the guarantees, and I don't know.
The Niners keep referencing the fact that Ayuk's going through this for the first time. Like he's having emotional withdrawals, like he's having a hard time dealing with the ups and downs of the negotiations. And maybe that's the case. I don't know. Or maybe, there's also a lot of people that feel like that, anything that Parag and Jed touches turns rotten, and that, that maybe they've had their hands on this thing.
Look, they retain the players that they want to pretty much across the board. I don't think it's them. My question is this. What's the level of experience in Brandon Aiyuk's representation? He's got a really young agent. This is an established agent who has a long, full barn of NFL rosters under his umbrella. Who is Brandon?
I don't know Ryan Williams. I do know that he's either friends with Lynch or Lynch's agent as well.
Okay, I think they're both. He's like best friends and his agent.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I part of your job as an agent is to prepare your client for what they're about to endure every step of the way. And did he? I don't know. And like, I think Mayoko made a very fair point the other day when he, in an article, came out and said, I'm not 100% sure. And Mayoko is trying to be diplomatic as he possibly can be, and he's very diplomatic. And he said, I'm not exactly sure if Brandon fully understood exactly what it was that he wanted when he made his initial request to be traded. And, and then we all watched that Pivot podcast. He basically, Ryan Clark asked him directly the question that many of us wanted to ask, which was, at the end of the day, what's it going to take? Is it the money? Is it the winning? Is it the hometown? Is it, what is it? Is it the football? Is it touchdowns, production? What is it? What do you want? What's the priority? And he said, I want the biggest bag, man. I want the biggest bag. So this has always been about the biggest bag, but then New England offered the biggest bag. And then he didn't want to go there because it's not really about the biggest bag. It's about the biggest bag that you can also win a Super Bowl while getting.
Let me ask you this, Larry. And you've been around the team, and I know this isn't a great tactic always to use, but at this point, don't the Niners hold the cards, and they've come up with their offers according to the reports, and they're close to $30 million? Do you not just get to the point where you say, hey, look, we've given you our best offer. You got 24 hours to take it, or we're taking money off the books each day. And if you know what, you don't want to play, and you want to sit out and screw the year up for your career, go ahead. But we're not playing games anymore. We need you on the field. We've upped your offer. We've met your demands. It's time to put up or shut up. And
I
feel like
like it. I
like
like it.
They've done that.
And I like the tough talk, and I like the deadlines, and I like the, be super aggressive. But let's be completely honest. It's 2024. Management in 2024 is in a kiss-ass mode. And if you ever get viewed by the players or agent world as being in any way unfriendly to players in any way imaginable, you're persona non grata in the free agent market, and I think they're fearful of that. So yes, on paper, Dan, they should have leverage, but it's not really playing out like that, is it? Because in reality, what is their leverage? They can make him play on the 5th-year option, but they're, I think, afraid of what the locker room vibe, not just from Brandon, maybe from the other players, might be like if they try to force him to play on that 5th-year option. And I think they fear it.
For guys as established as Aiyuk too, asking them to play on that 5th-year option is a little left of center. It really is. Like today, his
CBA agents are the CBA representative negotiated it for the players, right? So
sure, but today the Atlanta Falcons, they took AJ Terrell and
gave him a ton,
and they said, look, we're not going to ask you to go out there on your 5th-year option. We think of you more than as a 1-year remaining with us player, so we want that security. We want the production. You've been very good for us, so here you go. And I would think that that's the right way to approach Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk isn't a flash-in-the-pan player. He's someone who got drafted and has gotten progressively better every year he's played. I am more interested in how good Brandon Aiyuk could be 2 years from now than just this year.
Yeah, they could have done it after the Super Bowl and said, hey, 24 million, 25 million, and it'd be a done deal, and he would have signed. But now they've waited.
People say that, Dan. People say that, but and I brought this up a few times to Damon in the last month. If you guys remember coming out of the combine, so the combine is only a couple weeks after the Super Bowl. Coming out of the combine, Ian Rappaport was saying that Brandon Aiyuk's agent is intent on not signing until the wide receiver market has fully revealed itself, and the market had set itself at a higher number. So they watched as the market reset twice this offseason, and each time, wanted more money. And I think that's when their ask got larger, and that's when the deal making ability became more difficult. But I mean, I would love to blame the Niners and hold their feet to the fire, but once we got to February, it was pretty clear that Aiyuk was dug in to go all the way to August.
Well, in that case, if I'm Brandon Aiyuk and that's my agent, I'm pretty happy with him because he played it smart by waiting to drive up the market, the value. Now it sounds like Aiyuk's going to get close to $30 million.
But if the trade in place for the money that he wanted was there and then he walked away from it, again, what is going on? What is the real X marks the spot of what will have you playing football?
I think he wants his cake and eat
year. What is it?
He wants his cake and eat it too. He wants to get paid the biggest, closest to the biggest bag, and he wants to be on the 49ers.
What would you guys want? Would you want the biggest bag on the worst team, New England? Would you want the smallest bag on the best team, let's say the Niners? or would you want a bag that wasn't as big as New England's, but was bigger than the Niners, and you could go live in Cleveland or Pittsburgh and not have a Niners opportunity to win the Super Bowl, but have a better chance than the Patriots do? What would you want? Because the most, if you said the most money, I'm not questioning you, because guess what? NFL players don't play that long. That money's got to last a long time. There's nothing wrong in a sport by saying, hey, I want to take care of my family. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. So, I don't have a problem.
I mean,
with that.
I think we should contextualize it, because it's not just here it's $1 extra $1 million and here it's only one more. But it's probably more about the guaranteed. So he's probably thinking, worst case scenario, I bust my leg next year. How much money am I going to have for the rest of my life? And that could be 20 million more at a different team, 30 million more in terms of how these guarantees are explained. So I would probably go for the money. I mean, if it was my life, sell out. I mean, not like ruin my life, but these are, you only get to play sports for so many years.
Right.
And $30 million is a lot of money, but
I think if
the last dollars he's going to make,
if it's the highest contract and it's in Texas, I'm taking that because I'm not paying state taxes. So, but I may not take the highest money if I got to go to New England and play on a crappy team.
By the way, just to, you just jogged a thought there, but as the numbers continue to skyrocket upward, don't you think that it's almost going to be something that these leagues have to address, to have one central tax, as opposed to, hey, you're here, you get taxed here, you're there, you get taxed there. It's like, how do you have a competitive league and have equity and equality across your league if the teams in California have to pay 35% more to equate to the dollar figures offered by the teams in a state with a less punitive tax rate? It seems like it's now, with the numbers going up, it's become a bigger deal to the players because it's a bigger deal.
Yeah, there needs to be like a sliding scale of cap wiggle room based around
the average or something.
Yeah, about what players have to pay per tax, or you can pay a player X amount more to cover their tax rate to make the money that they're getting here equal to the money that they might have had over there. But nothing about this has ever been fair or equal or symmetrical, and it hasn't slowed business down. To get back to your original question, like, what would you want?
Yeah.
Money's never been my Jesus, which is why radio was a wonderful career choice for me. To me, I always wanted to bet on myself, my own talent, and the right situation. And I'd like to think that it would remain the same if I were a professional athlete and the stakes and the paydays were, much greater. But look, you're on the right team in the right town. And even though you might not have been the highest paid player in your moment, my God, you win a couple Lombardi trophies, you can take care of the rest of your life on that trading card circuit, just signing HOF or SB 2024 at the end of your signature and charge $50 more for it and crank off, 7,000 of them in a card show. So I think that there is intrinsic value to being a part of a championship team for sure. I can measure intrinsic value in ways that I think I value it more than some people even value money. Like, to me, to call yourself a true champion in your chosen career path of professional athletics is that you can't buy that anywhere else. You can't find an interview with an old Hall of Famer where they're telling you, yeah, I'm really happy with the money that I made. I have no problem at all that I never won a ring. Like, that interview doesn't exist. Because no athlete's really wired like that. The money can be so big it satiates you, but you have to be pursuing excellence if you're a really great athlete. And I think that you can find more excellence right in San Francisco than you can in Cleveland or New England at this time. So if I were Brandon, I would park it right here. I would attach myself to good management.
Yeah,
I would attach myself to good management. And I think the 49ers, for the most part, have that.
Yeah. I think the hang-up might be the fourth-year guarantees, because we've seen how these teams operate when they have no guaranteed money on the books. They can cut you. And he may be really wanting more security with the Niners. And he's just wanting that some sense of like that fourth year where he's got a little bit of guarantee. So he's got a little bit of leverage because, Debo's contract next year, don't the guarantees go way down or they're gone after this year?
They may have an out on his. They have an out on his contract, I think, after this.
Yeah,
he's most likely moving on. Most of us believe he's moving on at the end of the year,
right?
But that's not a guarantee.
I think Aiyuk is just probably. I think that's the hang up because the guaranteed money's probably there in the first 3 years. My guess is it's just above Amon St. Brown, and he got 77 million, I think, guaranteed. I think Aiyuk's probably will settle at about 80 for the contract, and he probably wants a little bit more, maybe in that fourth year.
We're coming down the home stretch here on the Jillian
show. I'd be done by midnight. So
yeah, well, we're done here. We're it's almost midnight. We're 2 minutes away from midnight. We'll go around the room. Final thoughts. Good preseason for the Niners. They go 2-1 for the most part. They remained relatively healthy. I think they got Brock some reps. They've got a good looking rookie class. I think they're deeper on the offensive line. I think they've got several spots they're deeper at. Defensive line, I think, could be a problem spot. But I do feel like if as they pare this roster down between now and Tuesday, I'd love for them to side with the rookies. So if it's Tatum Bethune or Demetrius Flanagan fouls, let's go with Tatum Bethune. If it's Guerendo or Patrick Taylor, let's go Guerendo. If it's Cody Schrader or Patrick Taylor, let's go with Schrader. If it's Mordecai over Dobbs around, let's go with Mordecai. I'd like to see the Niners go with the youngsters this year because I really like this rookie class. That would be my thought.
The financial concern that's being, brought up with every Brock Purdy future contract talk, Brandon Aiyuk, Trent Williams, shouldn't that factor into those roster decisions as well?
No doubt.
It would, right?
Yeah, and that's another reason why you'd want to kind of lean towards the rookies because they're a little bit cheaper. RJ Wax does this one too. He says the Niners are still shopping Aiyuk. Don't be surprised if they trade him to Washington for Luke McCaffrey, along with picks they got from the Birds. So we'll see. We shall see. But RJ Wax, we appreciate that. Kev, you got a final thought on this one as we throw it around the room one last time before we bolt for the door? What's your takeaway tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously pretty devastating if you have two significant injuries at the defensive end spot. I am worried about the run defense, but I thought there were some good things from the preseason. I really like Curtis Robinson. I think that he's going to play actually a pretty big role on this team this year. I don't think Devondre Campbell really is the answer, but I think he is a really good depth piece. I already screamed on the mountaintops about Jordan Mason. I'm excited to see Mason. A lot of the rookies are looking really good. That quarterback three, what's his name? Mordecai. Mordecai looks great. And I love Mordecai.
Quarterback four.
And I love what I saw from Mordecai today. So I'll leave it with that.
Damon, you got a final thought? As we're going around the room, by the way, we welcome in JD, who's just finishing up the KMBR broadcast. We'll definitely get JD's thoughts before he checks out. But since we're going around the room, we'll go in order here. Go ahead, Damon. You got a final thought on this one tonight, or a final thought on the summer that was for the Niners?
Final thought was it was fun to hop on with you and continue a little post game in over here with you guys. Great to see you, Dan. Great to see you, Kev. Great to see you, JD. Larry.
Good to see you, Damon.
Yeah, good to see you, pal. Larry, thanks for everything. Thanks for helping me to the platform. It's year 2. Like and subscribe to Damon Bruce Plus. Make sure you are there for Wake Up. Larry and I are going to be doing that 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. And this is going to be a very exciting season. The stakes couldn't be higher. The anxiety of winning it all hangs over this franchise like an anvil. And you can't ask for more, I think, as a fan. You're supposed to be great. You got to win a Super Bowl, and this is a year where it's supposed to happen. So every Niner fan, I think, should be very excited. And if they stay healthy, I think they got a puncher's chance as much as anybody to appear in this year's Super Bowl. So hope we're all right. It'd be good for the business if we are. And it's always a pleasure to see you guys. Thanks to everyone for helping, for having me. And I'm exhausted. It's been a long day.
Hey, we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you on Monday. Take care.
Sounds good. Monday, the next edition of Kruger and Bruce. Check it out Monday. Danny, you got a final thought on this one?
Yeah, it's just like I said, I loved what I saw out of Guerendo, and JP Mason to me was the star of the first quarter, which was playing with the first teamers. And what I loved about Mason tonight is I want to see Kyle give him 10 carries a game this year. Save CMC. Stop running the guy into the ground. I mean, he's probably got his calf injury based on probably just dealing from all the workload, and he's not a rookie anymore. The guy's what, a 7-year veteran, something like that. CMC 7-8. Running backs don't last that long in the NFL. Just keep this guy fresh so that when you really need him, he can be a dog in the playoffs.
Danny, thanks for stopping by. Now go watch an hour of Kayvon Biggio YouTube highlights.
There we go. Hey, guys, I'm live still. I got some guys over there on NorCal Sports Network. When this show ends, I'm expecting 1,000.
Man, when are you done, Dan? You're going all night.
Well, we got late start both games. I got my Seattle hat on. Okay.
When you jump, just to paint the picture. When you walk out of this scintillating Niner discussion and walk back into that room, what's your opening salvo? I mean, what are you going to be like? Which Rodgers blew it tonight? You know, I mean, what are you going to?
We've already been going for 2 hours over there. So I already gave my opening salvo before this show started. That's why I was late coming on. But yeah, if everybody would go subscribe to NorCal Sports Network, I really appreciate it. We're trying to grow the channel, and Larry's been a great help to me. And I appreciate you having me part of this. Love being on this show and, just mixing it up with you guys. It's fun, and you guys are the best.
You're a good man, Danny. Thanks for coming by. NorCal Sports Network. Everybody give a like and subscribe over to Danny's channel and help him get to 10,000 subs as fast as he possibly can. Danny, have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. See you guys. Take care.
There you go. The great Dan Coach Amelia. And now we welcome in John Dickinson from formerly of 95.7 The Game, now from KMBR 680. And was just on the Giants coverage tonight, right? You're on the baseball coverage tonight.
I was on the baseball coverage tonight, and good to be with you both. Although I intended, because it's, I mean, you've hosted Sports Phone KMBR. You come on and you talk about the Giants game, but if you've got maybe 2 hours, might do an hour of Giants, and on a night like tonight, you might do an hour of Niners. And I fully intended on splitting basically a 90-minute show on, hey, nice 5-2 win for the Giants tonight, kind of ho-hum. Wade and Ramos and Conforto went deep. All right, 4 games back, probably not going to make the playoffs, but nice win. 808 KBR, take a few calls. All right, let's get into some 49er takeaways. I had my projected 53-man roster. I had all my thoughts from what was actually quite a thrilling preseason game tonight. Like that was a way better game than either of the first two tonight. It's amazing what happens when you get some regulars, at least 49er regulars, playing in the game. And then Tyler Rogers came in with the Giants up 5-1 in the 8th inning, blew up 6 straight hits, tie game, goes to extras, Giants lose, and the whole 90 minutes is now just people reacting and complaining about the Giants game. So I did no Niners tonight, even though I was anticipating doing about 45, 50 minutes of Niners tonight.
What is your takeaway on Aiyuk and Trent? Do you think Aiyuk and Trent are going to be Niners? Do you think they're going to move on? The Commanders have re-entered the discussion. There's, I've kind of floated out that I think that it's possibly personal. I know John Lynch has made it perfectly clear that it is not personal, but what's he going to say? Right. At the end of the day, I mean, if it was personal, you think he's going to, it's deeply personal. And, he's a damage control guy, right? He's not going to do that. But what's your read on Aiyuk and Trent? Do you think they'll be there for the Jets, or do you think we're going to have to wait?
I think Trent Williams 100% for sure will be there for the Jets. I don't really have anything to add. I wouldn't be surprised if Trent Williams, I mean, this thing gets done. I know we're coming up on 2 weeks now on Monday to the start of the year. I think Trent Williams' deal will be done and he'll report at the latest by the Tuesday after Labor Day, which will be their bonus practice. I think will be Tuesday, and then they'll have their install day on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the Monday night opener. So I think Trent Williams is there. I think Aiyuk's there too, but I still think, and look, my big Aiyuk takeaway from tonight is more, I mean, he was on the trip with the team to Las Vegas. Like, I think that has to be a positive sign that they're going to get a deal done, and that it is not so contentious that the personal feelings, which I do think have been a factor in this thing over the last few months, like I think that can be bridged and cooler heads can prevail, and they can come up with a deal that allows him to get back and be ready to roll for the Jets. So I don't think it's going to be necessarily as smooth or quick or simple as Trent Williams, but I think they're both going to be there. And I think him being with the team in Vegas is a good sign that maybe things could be close. But how many times have we thought that? Every time we think, oh, well, he's going to sign today, it seemingly swings the other way, and then, oh, he's going to get traded today, and then it swings back the other way. I still think he's going to wind up being a Niner.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been moving in the direction of signing. The trade stuff, it came, and I feel like it kind of went. I don't know if this Commanders trade talk was really real. I don't know. Did you guys feel that? I didn't really feel like it was real talk.
I don't think there's anybody the Niners look, if they could have gotten McLaren back, I think that would be something. But I think this has reached a point at which the 49ers can't now, with 2 weeks to go before the season, and him being around at the level that he's been around here lately, including tonight, I don't think the Niners can say, yeah, we're going to trade you now. Like, I think that would be way too much of just kind of flipping everything over in the locker room with it so close to the season now. So I actually don't think, and I've said this from the beginning, guys, this, I've been you got to figure it out and pay him, and then you do what you need to do down the line. I don't see how the Niners could, hey, we're sending you to Pittsburgh now, or we're sending you to Washington now. Like, I think that would undermine the entire season for the 49ers if they look to do that now.
I kind of think you're right. I just think you're not going to get equal value. You're going to wind up looking bad. It's not going to work out. I don't know. At this point, to me, if you sign him, you got a shot to win the Super Bowl. If you don't sign him, you probably don't. At least from my perspective. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. This live stream sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Check out JD. JD, when do you appear on KMBR 680 next? Tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm actually back on. I've got the weekend off here in the lead up to the beginning of the season, and so I'm back on Tuesday and Wednesday on the post Giants sports phone. But we'll be talking Giants, we'll be talking Niners. I got a couple of those next week, taking a little time over the holiday weekend, and then back full bore on Labor Day, which I know is a big day for you, Larry, as well, with the beginning of Niners Nightly. So a little bit of a lighter week for me. I'll see you out at practice a little bit, but then back full bore on Labor Day, and ready for lots of Niner coverage as this thing gets kicked off here coming up 2 weeks from Monday.
We appreciate you, brother. Thanks for jumping in here. That's going to do it for us. Kev, great night. Great big day today. We had 2 live streams this morning, a bunch of interviews on KMBR this afternoon. We got a chance to watch a little freshman football tonight. Got a chance to watch the Niners finish out the preseason. Isaac Guerendo had a nice night. Tanner Mordecai looked outstanding.
Mordecai in the end zone to Mason Pline. That moment was probably the highlight of the night.
I was rooting for it. I was rooting for those guys to hook up. It would have been incredible, but it was not to be. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Quick turnaround, sleeping fast, because tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. the coach will be in the house. We'll break it all down. We'll talk more about this matchup. We'll talk more about not this matchup, but we'll talk more about this game. We'll talk about the matchup ahead with the New York Jets. in week 1 and the paring down of the roster and all the headlines connected to Aiyuk and Trent and all that coming up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. For JD, for Kev, I'm Krug. Have a great night. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.